Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanashari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki BBT Founder Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Premsa Koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Mayapur Dham ki Ganga Maya ki Yamuna Maya ki Tulsi Maharani ki Sama Veta Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaura Premananda all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, entitled Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the Kumaras. We're reading text number 55. And repeat after me. Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Kale Swe Swe Achutatmaka Manovag Vritibi Somyair Gunai Samranjayan Praja Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Kale Swe Swe Chiyotatmaka Kale Swe Swe Chiyotatmaka Manovag Vritibi Somyai Manovag Vritibi Somyai Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Kale Swe Swe Chiyotatmaka Manovag Vritibi Somyai Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Kale Swe Swe Chiyotatmaka Manovag Vritibi Somyai Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Manovag Vritibi Somyai Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gopitaya Jagat Shrishta Kale Swe Swe Chiyotatmaka Manovag Vritibi Somyai Gunai Samrajayan Prajaha Gopitaya for the protection of Jagat Shrishta of the Supreme Creator Kale in due course of time Swe Swe own Achuta Atmaka being Krishna conscious Mana mind Vak words Vritibi by occupation Somyai very gentle Gunai by qualification Samranjayan pleasing Praja the citizens. Translation and Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. Purport. As will be explained in the next verse, Prithu Maharaj used to please all kinds of citizens by his extraordinary capacity to understand the mentality of others. Indeed, his dealings were so perfect that every one of the citizens was very much satisfied and lived in complete peace. The word Achutatmaka is significant in this verse. For Maharaj Prithu used to rule this planet as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that he was the representative of the Lord, and that the Lord's creation must be protected intelligently. Atheists cannot understand the purpose behind the creation. Although this material world is condemned when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of the creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness so that they can ultimately return home back to Godhead. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way, everyone will be satisfied. How can this be accomplished? There are many examples like Prithu Maharaj, and the history of his regency on this planet is elaborately described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even in this fallen age, if rulers, governors, and presidents take advantage of Prithu Maharaj's example, there will certainly be a reign of peace and prosperity throughout the world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshut Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Be'evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ya Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The verse again. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. Hare Krishna. Jiva Swarupa Hoy Krishnara Nityadas. The living entity by nature is an eternal servant of Krishna. By nature meaning that is the purpose of the existence of the living entities. We are meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, it is ironic because we don't exist because of Krishna's desire. We exist because of Lord Balaram's desire to serve Krishna. We exist because of Lord Balaram. It is very common amongst devotees, especially those who serve in the deity department, to say that the paraphernalia is non-different from Lord Balaram. All the different articles, like the lamp and the bell, are non-different from Lord Balaram. The offering plate and cups and bowls are non-different from Lord Balaram. But this is not Lord Balaram's limitation. The entirety of the spiritual world is an expansion of Lord Balaram. The Vaikuntha planets, the different Vishnu Tattva personalities of Godhead, the material world, the Shiva Tattva, and the living entities are all expanded from Lord Balaram, either directly or indirectly. Because Lord Balaram's intention was to serve, by nature everything that exists can be used in service. The most famous expansion of Lord Balaram is Krishna's flute. The flute of Krishna is an incarnation of Lord Balaram. It's described that when Krishna plays the flute, he has to touch the flute to his lips, and this makes the gopis jealous because they cannot serve just as well as Lord Balaram. But everything exists in service to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. And this is very much true for the living entities. The purpose of the jiva is to serve Krishna. However, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Controller, he never enforces control over the living entities. And the living entities have the free will to do as they like. Because of that free will, some living entities choose to live separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Krishna provides such a facility for the living entities to fulfill their desires. That facility is the material world. But the living entities have forgotten the purpose of this material world due to that free will. But let's imagine that Krishna did enforce control. Then society will be very similar to the happenings of North Korea. In North Korea, there is no freedom of speech, no freedom of expression, no freedom of religion. It is a completely atheistic society. Everything is owned and ruled over by the government, which is ironic because the ruling party's name begins with democratic, but there is no democracy. The government is a dictatorship. Under the rule of this government, life is very brutal. There is an assumption by the rest of the world that in North Korea, punishment means execution. For example, at the Olympics, North Korea also participates. They send a team of their best athletes to bring in the gold. And what's been noted by the rest of the world is that at every Olympics that is held, it's never the same people on the North Korean team. Not a single person from the previous Olympics would represent the current Olympics. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. And this has created an assumption that whenever the team fails to win, it means that when they return back to North Korea, they will be executed for failure. Last month, the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, broadcasted the launch of a ship that they had built, and not just any ship, but a warship. And they were transporting the warship from the mainland to the ocean. Then they started moving the warship to the sea. And then an accident happened which caused the ship to tilt over and sink into the ocean. This was broadcast globally. The dictator wanted to show off his new warship. So when this accident happened, Kim Jong-un was so embarrassed that he said that the people who were involved committed a crime and will be punished. And it's very likely that many people are going to be executed. The North Korean nation, although society looks more advanced than what we experience, the living lifestyle is far worse. Over there, the government hoards all the wealth. There is barely enough food to supply the nation, and people literally starve to death. Everywhere else, you can still struggle to survive. You can still steal food and get away with it. You can't do that in North Korea. Crime will be met with execution. Not only will the criminal be executed, the whole family who was not involved in the crime will also be executed. One time, a video was broadcasted. Kim Jong-un, the dictator, was crying. You can see the tears like a river was flowing down his face. And then the video will show everyone else who was present. The other officials were crying. The guests were crying as well. And the citizens were also crying. Everybody was weeping. When the dictator is weeping, you also have to cry as well. You cannot stand there with a blank face, and you definitely cannot be laughing. That would be very disrespectful to the dictator. You'll be executed, and your family will be executed with you. So Kim Jong-un was making a public address with tears in his eyes, and he was talking about population decrease. The population is decreasing at the rate that the country will eventually stop being a country. So the dictator, who is so emotional, is requesting the men and women, but especially the women, to get pregnant and populate the country. Everybody is crying with Kim Jong-un. Even the ladies are crying with him. The population is decreasing. But who would want to give birth to children in that environment? Plus, with the scarcity of food, the children are likely to starve to death before the parents starve to death. In another video, singers from South Korea were invited to North Korea to do a concert. So usually what happens in a concert is that people dress up casually, they sing along, dance, talk to friends and laugh. People have fun and enjoy themselves. But when this concert started, these South Korean artists were wearing formal wear. They were dressed very in suit and tie and so on. And the audience, the North Koreans in attendance, were also dressed in formal wear. Everybody watched the performance, and that was it. The audience had a serious, stern behavior. Not a single person smiled. The concert didn't have the mood of what a concert should be. This kind of behavior is normal for them. They cannot express any emotion separate from the dictator. Just like previously described, when the dictator started crying, they had to cry as well. In the same way, if the dictator doesn't express any enjoyment, then the citizens cannot express enjoyment as well. And the dictator's ability to control is not even a fraction of Krishna's ability to control. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. But Krishna is so kind that he doesn't enforce control over the living entities. He allows the living entities to have free will. Everybody is qualitatively the same as Krishna. Everybody is spiritual. But everybody is different from Krishna. Krishna is Krishna, and you have your own individual identity. Prabhupada would say, God is God, and dog is dog. Prabhupada in various purports would describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Controller, Supreme Enjoyer, and Supreme Friend. These three concepts make God, God. Once His Grace Shuddhi Prabhu gave a class. He likes asking trick questions, questions that can only be answered through some critical thinking. Shuddhi Prabhu made this point. If Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He is the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Enjoyer, and the Supreme Friend, what would happen if one of these concepts were missing? What would happen if Krishna was the Supreme Controller and the Supreme Friend, but He wasn't the Supreme Enjoyer? A Supreme Controller will have the power to do any and everything at His will. And a Supreme Friend is someone who is amicable and generous, a sense of selflessness. The question can be answered in two words. Prabhupada had mentioned these two words in many purports and would elaborately explain it. And these two words are order carrier, one who carries orders like a waiter at a restaurant. May I take your order? A better example of a controller and a friend can be seen in the characteristics of a genie. In fiction, there is a story about the genie in the lamp. It is very clear in the story that the genie is a big controller. It can do any and everything. It has the power to fulfill any desire. And the genie is described as friendly. It becomes amicable and generous to whoever holds the lamp. So the genie has the ability to control everything. But why does the genie feel that it needs to fulfill the desire of other people? The genie is bound by friendship. To be a friend is to be causeless and selfless. But that friendship, when in the association of evil people, is then taken advantage of. Evil people hold the kindness of their friend hostage so as to make the friend agreeable at every turn, and is then turned into an order carrier, which is essentially a servant, or worse, a slave. So the genie in the lamp is a representation of a big controller, and the lamp that confines the controller is a representation of the friend. So the person who holds the lamp of friendship then becomes the master of the big controller. So the one who holds the lamp, it is the enjoyer. If the enjoyer is a good person, he will wish for the genie to be free. But if the enjoyer is a bad person, then the genie will never be free. This is very much how people treat God, not as a person, but as a wishing machine. God can only exist because He fulfills desires. If He doesn't fulfill my desire, then He doesn't exist. In Vedic culture, the demigods are in a similar position like a genie. If you gain enough piety and garner the attention of a devata, the demigod is duty-bound to offer a benediction. In Krishna book, there is a demon named Vrikasur. He wanted to know which devata is easiest to please, and he found out that Lord Shiva is very easily pleased. So Vrikasur would cut his flesh and then offer it in a sacrificial fire. Vrikasur was engaging himself as such for a period of time, but there was no response from Lord Shiva. Then Vrikasur got the bright idea to offer his head in the sacrificial fire. So he began cutting his head off. At that moment, Lord Shiva appeared. Lord Shiva is a big friend of the living entities and even to ghosts. He is merciful to the entities that are in the mode of ignorance. As a friend, Lord Shiva appeared to stop this demon from killing himself. And so Vrikasur stopped cutting off his head. Lord Shiva is very merciful. Seeing that this demon was trying to worship him, Lord Shiva offered Vrikasur a benediction. And Vrikasur asks for a mystic power that whoever's head he touches with his hands, the head would explode into hundreds of pieces. So Lord Shiva gave him that benediction. Afterwards, Vrikasur, who now has this abominable power, he knows that Lord Shiva has a very beautiful wife and he wants to enjoy her company. So he tries to touch Lord Shiva's head, and immediately Lord Shiva runs away. Vrikasur begins to chase Lord Shiva all over the universe, and eventually he passes by Vaikuntha, and the Supreme Lord Narayan takes the form of a brahmachari and invites Vrikasur for a conversation. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead convinces Vrikasur to touch his own head, and Vrikasur's head explodes. Vrikasur is an enjoyer who took advantage of the kindness of friendship from a big controller like Lord Shiva. In another instance, we have the example like Hiranyakashipu. He obtained various boons from Lord Brahma. And at the end of the pastime, after Nrsingadev kills Hiranyakashipu, the Supreme Lord gives Lord Brahma a warning on giving out boons. So when Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha reincarnate as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, what does Lord Brahma do? He limits Ravana's boons. And what does he do to Kumbhakarna? Lord Brahma gets the goddess Saraswati to sit on Kumbhakarna's tongue. So when Lord Brahma asks Kumbhakarna to ask for a boon, Kumbhakarna says he wants to sleep. And Lord Brahma grants it immediately. So Kumbhakarna sleeps for 6 months, wakes up for 1 day, and sleeps again for another 6 months. The Supreme Lord told Brahma to be cautious when giving away boons, and Lord Brahma had followed the instruction. So we see that the devatas are order carriers, but not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you want a desire to get fulfilled by the Supreme Lord, you have to be qualified for it. Krishna will not fulfill your desire if it's bad for you. Another point is that what would happen if Krishna was the supreme enjoyer and supreme friend, but he wasn't the supreme controller? That would be very superficial. Who would take an enjoyer and friend seriously if they had no power to enjoy or be a friend? Can you really be an enjoyer if everything you can enjoy is under someone else's control? You cannot. We have in our experience that if you want to enjoy a product, you have to purchase it. Once it is purchased, you now possess it, and because it is in your possession, you now have control over it. And since you have control over it, only then can you enjoy it. Similarly, what is a friend that has no ability under the concept of control? Such a person can only do lip service. They can be with you during the good times, but during the tough times, they can't help you when you need it. And the third point, what happens if Krishna was the supreme controller and supreme enjoyer, but he wasn't the supreme friend? Then the result would be far worse than what the people in North Korea have experienced. The citizens of North Korea can still keep secrets because the dictator is not all-pervading. But who in existence can keep secrets from the Supersoul, who knows exactly what you are doing at every given moment? In a lecture about the false ego, we know that it consists of the concepts of I and mine. And so it's explained that the ego has the concept of I, and from the concept of I get status. For example, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a manager, I am a pujari, I am a cook, and so on. When I have status, I can use that status to enjoy. I become an enjoyer. In the same way, the concept of mine means possession. So long as I have possession of something, I can control it. I become a controller. We can see the trajectory of Kali Yuga. There are many people who have high positions, people who have high status, and with that status, they enjoy a lot. And similarly, the same people also have high authority, which gives them control. But such people in high positions are not friends. And we know that they are not friends simply based on how difficult it is for an ordinary person to survive in this world. A very stark contrast to Prithu Maharaj. As last Friday, Her Grace Rukmini said that Prithu Maharaj is so annoying because he is so perfect. Prithu Maharaj is the Supreme Lord's incarnation of a sovereign, and Prithu Maharaj had perfectly displayed his ability as a supreme controller, supreme enjoyer, and supreme friend. As a supreme controller, Prithu Maharaj displayed that he had the ability to kill the deity of this earth planet and maintain it by his own power. As a supreme enjoyer, it's described that Prithu Maharaj's status was very high even amongst the demigods, so much so that the demigods will have given him all kinds of gifts for him to enjoy. And in this verse, we see that Prithu Maharaj is displaying this concept of being a supreme friend. Prithu Maharaj wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He wants to protect the Supreme Lord's creation, and he wants the best for his citizens in his kingdom and to help them fulfill their desires, and once their desires are satisfied, they can quickly take to Krishna consciousness and return back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada is even imploring that the leaders of society should follow in the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj and make things beneficial for everybody. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Granta Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.